Well, hello everyone. I'm Betty, and
I'm Mark, otherwise known as
what?
Never
we
mind.
are the
Pastors,
pastors too. You can tell we didn't really rehearse this. We haven't had a whole lot of time. Oh goodness. Well, we want to welcome you all to Conversations with the Pastors too, and yeah, I was going to have some notes. I don't have any notes. So
It's been kind of a busy day.
It's been kind of a busy week.
Well, that too.
I just came from physical therapy. So anyway, just so you know that, I mean, I think we're talking about moving the broadcast to an hour later at 6 o'clock. Let us know in the chat if that sounds good to you. And in fact, let us know in the chat if you're here. Anyway, we'd like to hear from you. And if you like this video, click the like button, click the subscribe, and subscribe to our channel, and share it. That helps with the YouTube algorithm. It helps to get it out, to everybody. And so anyway, well, tonight, let me see here. Last week we talked about this study, religion and ADHD or whatever I called it.
Religiosity.
Does being religious impact ADHD behavior? Okay. And religiosity, the actual title, let me see here. Got it here. Hang on, it's on my phone. Religiosity as a moderator of ADHD-related antisocial behavior and emotional distress among secular, religious, and Ultra-Orthodox Jews in Israel.
Say that 10 times real fast.
So, I found it to be an interesting study, and I know it was a little bit of a very brief overview last week, so we thought we would just go a little more in depth and see if we can't make it a little more clear, but I don't know if that's possible with us. But we're going to try. So we're going to take it one hypothesis at a time. Well, okay, I say one at a time. There's 1 week that it'll be two hypotheses.
I think that's number 2 and 3.
I think so. I think it's 2 and 3 because they're kind of like opposite sides of the same coin. And so, anyway, so I think it's 2 and 3 will be together, and then 4, and then 5, and we'll wrap it up, and then we'll do something different. We'll see where we go with this. Anyway, so let me see. So the first hypothesis, I'm not sure, is that, is that coming up? Okay, it's delayed. Yeah, it's delayed. So yeah, okay. Oh, I wanted to say something before, let me go back here. I wanted to say something before we go on. I looked over at first I looked at, because we've got this screen in front of us that, so we can see what's going on, what we're doing, kind of. But I noticed that he put on this kind of a coral color shirt. And people give us a hard time about dressing alike and dressing in the same color. And we do that often. And it's usually not intentional.
Right.
He tells me tonight.
This time it was intentional. But most of the time it's not.
Well, what's really ironic is my top is really not the same color as his shirt. It's got some similarities. But on camera, it looks like it does show up as the same color. So that's... It's interesting. So it was unintentionally intentional?
I guess you could say that. No, I planned it.
You planned it.
And when I saw what you were wearing, I decided to go with this shirt.
Okay. All right. So just for anybody that's wondering if it was planned, yeah, I guess it was. He planned it. So
right.
I didn't.
Right.
So anyway, okay, back to hypothesis 1. Okay. When they put this study together, they had several ideas about their hypotheses and what they were going to find. And let me get down here and find, let's see, where was it? Okay, I lost my place now. Okay, they said, we hypothesized the following, that religious Jews, which included ultra-Orthodox, modern ultra-Orthodox, and religious Zionist, will report lower levels of ADHD symptoms than will non-religious ones, the traditional and secular. I still don't know what they mean by traditional, but that's the 5 areas that the Jews break down, their religion, or religious views or whatever into. And so this is going from the most religious, which is the ultra-Orthodox, down to the secular. But they did lump the traditional and secular together for the benefit of this study. Now, they did separate the ultra-Orthodox, the modern ultra-Orthodox, and the religious Zionist. The ultra-Orthodox, that would be kind of like, would that be like the Pharisees?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, maybe
in the Bible?
Mm-hmm.
So the ones that, they're really, really, really strict. And so, anyway, so think in those terms. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And they did find that hypothesis that religious individuals will report less ADHD, and they did find that was supported in their study. So, okay. What?
Nothing.
Y'all have to put up with us. You just, it's just that way. There was something here I was gonna, hang on, I'll find it. Okay, we talked about this a little bit last week. The 2 recurring findings in the study of mental health and religion are that ADHD predicts higher levels of antisocial behavior and distress, and that religiosity is related to lower levels of both. So, again, the more religious a person is, the lower the less of a chance of them acting out in antisocial ways, and the less emotional distress they have. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I say it right?
That's right.
Okay. You're not helping me much here.
I was thinking we should have brought that sheet in here that I prepared so you could see it. And
well, what good's that going to do? We need it on a slide so they can see it.
I know. But we'll try to get that for next week.
We'll get our act together someday. It may take us a while. But, okay. So they said that this raised a conundrum that had not previously been addressed in research literature, and that was, how do religious individuals with ADHD fare in terms of these psychosocial outcomes? And so this study explored the relationships between religiosity, ADHD, antisocial behavior, and emotional distress in 806 Jewish Israeli individuals, again, ranging from ultra-Orthodox to secular. And they found the topic important because of the lack of information on ADHD in religious populations. And so, I don't know what else it was I wanted to, let me find that. You can talk.
Really?
At least I think you can.
Or I could sing.
All right, go ahead. Well, no, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to turn you loose on singing. Not without a rehearsal or something, or at least knowing ahead of time what he's going to sing. You know, I mean, he's got a good voice, but you know. Okay, here's what I was looking for. So one of the issues is that the more religious a group gets, the fewer reports of ADHD behavior, and in fact, the fewer reports of ADHD altogether. There's a couple of reasons for that, and I touched on this last week. There's a likely chance that there's a higher attrition rate with of individuals with ADHD. In other words, the more strict the religion, the less likely someone with ADHD is going to be able to adhere to any kind of rules and regulations.
Yeah, and the more formal, basically, where you just go in and sit down and, you have to adhere to a certain, you stand at this point and you sit at this point and be still. And
that's part of it.
And, yeah.
But I'm thinking more in terms of the kind of thing that we grew up with.
Okay.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
You don't dance.
Okay.
You don't go to movies.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And in some churches, it's even stricter, the certain modes of dress and...
Right. Swimming.
Yeah. Well, that used to be a thing when I was a teen.
Mm-hmm.
So...
And some denominations you have to have long sleeves, have to have your hair up in a bun, or some denominations.
The women have to have long hair
and put it up on. But,
I don't know that they have to, but that's
what most of them do.
That's what they do. Yeah.
Certain groups.
So, anyway, So it's upholding rules, preserving boundaries, doing certain things, and then there's again, like Mark said earlier, the behavior requires EC, which is, I forgot. Some kind of control.
Yeah.
I told you about this last week. But anyway,
did it have to do with ethnicity?
No.
Never mind.
It mentions effortful control. Effortful control.
That's what I
Full of effort. You ever tried to control? No, I'm not going to ask that.
We won't go there.
it can be very difficult for a person with ADHD to control their behavior. Um, yeah, I, well, most of the time I can control. It's this that I have a problem controlling. But, I mean, most of the time I'm okay, but, you never know when I'm going to blurt something out and, you know, say something that I get myself in trouble for. But like I've said before, I started learning to mask probably around third grade. Um, and that was because I got in trouble because my mind wandered at the wrong time. I was in reading circle. I've told this story several times to people, so you may have heard it before. But I was sitting in reading circle, and that year was a tough year for me. But we didn't know anything about ADHD back then. And it was probably more the inattentive type. Although I don't know. My mom used to talk about whenever she tried to hem my dresses, she'd try to mark the hem, and I wouldn't stand still. She was always like, stand still, stand still. And I told one of my instructors this in an ADHD class recently. And she said, "Oh, well, nobody's going to notice on a galloping horse." So it's one of those things that the instructor said, "Yeah, there might have been some hyperactivity there." So anyway, let me see what else. I'm getting off track.
Okay.
Another fun, effortful control. I need to expend a little more effort at controlling myself, right? Okay, whatever. Okay, so one of the things that we've learned over the past 50, 60 years, is that ADHD it has a genetic component. It's a neurological disorder. I'm looking here for my brain's over there. I have a little brain thing. Hey, there's another one, right? I think. Isn't there another one right over there? Oh well. Anyway, whatever.
I don't see it. I could look though.
But it takes place in the frontal lobe of the brain, frontal lobes of the brain, whatever, and it's caused by a lack of dopamine. Now, there's lots of theories as to what that entails, but the thing that I really want to talk about today, I guess, is the fact that there are a lot, and I've been seeing a lot of this, is that there are a lot of people, pastors, ministry leaders, and I'm speaking mostly to Christians here, and Christians in general who don't believe that ADHD is a real thing. I'm here to tell you that it is. Now, exactly what the cause of it is, I don't know. They say it's at least partly genetic. And I believe that because I know that my youngest brother was diagnosed with ADHD before he passed away. I don't know exactly when that diagnosis came, but my sister-in-law had confirmed that he had ADHD. And looking at our lives growing up, yeah, he did. But as I've said before, looking at my dad, I really think that my dad had ADHD. And so that kind of brings in that genetic component. So what do we do when we go into church and people with ADHD aren't able to sit still? And we're talking adults here, not just kids. It's a problem with kids sometimes, but also with adults, you know, having trouble paying attention to the sermon. You know, oh, wasn't that a great sermon? Yeah. You know? And
here's what I was thinking a while ago.
Okay.
I maybe spoke too soon, but people with ADHD need a multi-sensory service.
Yes.
So if you add video or if you add other things to the service, then that helps to keep their attention, so they, help them to stay better focused.
On the flip side, you have to be careful with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of our friends
that's true.
at a service recently
mm-hmm.
where they had the strobe lights and high-pitched electric
mm-hmm.
guitar and all that.
It went too far.
Yeah, it was too much. And she developed a migraine and had to go home. She was very, very sick. And so, and that was a huge disappointment. So, some people are impacted by things. There are sensitivities that go along with having ADHD. And so this is where we need the education, because it's not just antisocial behavior. It's not just the emotional distress. A lot of the emotional distress comes from not being understood and not having the support that's needed. And if we're going to criticize, let's find something else to criticize, besides ADHD. I mean, there is a certain stigma around mental health, mental issues, and ADHD falls into that. And it's especially true in our churches, in our religious organizations, our communities of faith, that the more religious, the more apt they are to stigmatize mental health issues. So we want to change that. And this podcast is just one way of doing it, trying to get the word out, trying to educate and let people know that ADHD is a real thing. Now, at some point maybe we'll get into all the, a lot of ADHDers have claimed it as a superpower, and, we think differently. And in some ways, yes, there are areas where someone with ADHD excels. But most of the time, we're dealing with cultures and society that is made for people that are, quote, neurotypical. They're the people that have what's considered a normal neurological system of where the brain is neurologically normal or typical. It's normal isn't really a good word for it. Typical. It's where most people fit into that category. But for those of us that don't, and the word that's used is neurodivergent, we are different. We think differently. And that can make for us to be more creative, And I'm not talking just artistically creative. I mean, you see all my stuff back up here. But also it's creative in the way we do things. We're creative in the way we think. We're creative when it comes to coming up with solutions for things. So the more those of us that are neurodivergent, and neurodivergence includes not just ADHD, but includes autism. I didn't know until within the last year or two that adults can have autism. You know, I mean, both of these, it was always assumed that you outgrew it, or if for people that are autistic, it was assumed that you're the person is just, you know, like nonverbal and everything. But autism is a spectrum. There's a scale. And not everyone is going to fit that traditional idea of autism. Same with ADHD. We aren't all little boys running around unable to control ourselves. Right?
Right.
And it manifests differently in girls and women, and that's something that is just in the last 10, 15, 20 years has really begun to come to light as more and more adult women with ADHD have come to that knowledge and realization that we have ADHD. We fit all this stuff. And so it's time to drop the stigma, especially in the church. We need pastors and ministry leaders and clergy across the board. We need people in leadership that recognize the problems that those of us with ADHD face. And we need to develop ways to support ADHDers, the neurodivergent. You'll hear me use that word a lot. We need to develop ways to help the neurodivergent, to provide supports. So anyway, that's probably about it tonight. I don't know if that was particularly helpful. I'd love for someone to let me know if it was in the chat. If you have any questions, be sure to post them. We've had some interesting discussions come about on some of our Facebook posts and other, and some of the comments on YouTube, and just, people that have approached us in other ways that have let us know that this is much needed. And so, I don't know, feel like that God is leading us in doing this. And so, oh, I didn't see that before now. Patsy says, I love your matching shirts. Okay. Thanks, Patsy. So anyway, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it out, because that helps with the algorithm. That gets it out there to the people. That tells YouTube that people like it and that other people might want to watch. And so, if you enjoy us being kind of crazy while we talk about serious stuff, then, share it and let other people know that we're doing this, and we can, we're out to change our world. That's just it. We're out to change our world. So with that said, I'm I think we're going to sign off, and we will see you again next week. Wait a minute. Before we go, 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
We're going to change it to an hour later. We're going to do 6 o'clock Central Time. That's 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. And that is, that's to give me a little bit more time to catch my breath when I get done with physical therapy. Okay, so anyway, all right. Oh, thanks, Patsy. We're gonna try. We're gonna try. So, okay, we will see you at 6 Central Time next Thursday. That will be what's that going to be? The
16th.
16th.
Right.
See, I whatever. He's the math guy. All right.